President Trump appoints Jay Bhattacharya to the National Institutes of Health. This is a big one. And we've come full circle because Jay has been the victim of the NIH and the NIAID and other so-called scientists like Fauci and others who were trying to smear him and wreck his reputation because he was standing up against the lockdowns and against the mandates. And he was few and far between. There were not many of these doctors who were standing up in opposition to this. And so now that he's going in full circle, okay, he's going to go back in and lead the agency that tried to destroy him. Couldn't be more beautifully poetic if you tried. So here's what Trump said in his post. I am thrilled to nominate Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. MD, PhD, to serve as the director of the National Institutes of Health. Dr. B will work in cooperation with RFK Jr. to direct the nation's medical research and to make important discoveries that will improve health and save lives. Saying Jay's a professor at Stanford, research associate, senior fellow, and more. Tons of institutes and institutions. He directs the Center for Age, focuses on health and well-being, biomedical innovation, economics, and more. Co-author of the Great Barrington Declaration, remember that, in October 2020. His peer-reviewed research and the Great Barrington Declaration was a statement by other doctors that the response to COVID that was being implemented and crammed down our throats in October was not good. Lockdowns, mandates, which hadn't come yet. The jab didn't come out until after the election, but that it was all bad. Now, his peer-reviewed research has been shown in many places. He says, together, Jay and RFK will restore the NIH to the gold standard, including solving chronic illness and disease. Together, they will work hard to make America healthy again. And we're looking forward to that. So this is a fun one from Hans Monkey, a great follow on X. Says, here's how it started versus how it's going. Watch how poetic this is. What he says, what an incredible journey it has been from being defamed by the corrupt former NIH director to becoming the new NIH director. Old boss says this guy's this. Yeah, from Francis Collins, NIH OD, remember him, to Anthony Fauci, remember him. Subject regarding the Great Barrington Declaration. Francis, who was previously in charge, says, hi, Tony, Fauci, and Cliff. See this, the gbdeclaration.org. This proposal from the 3 fringe epidemiologists who met with the secretary seems to be getting a lot of attention, and even a co-signature from Nobel Prize winner Mike Levitt at Stanford. There needs to be a quick and devastating published takedown of its premises. I don't see anything like that online yet. Is it underway? They wanted to destroy the man. Trump says, nope. Now he's in charge. So you're done. Thanks for playing. Now here's an exchange of Dr. J. If you haven't heard him speak, this is what he sounds like. This is what his take was back during the pandemic.
The places that have followed such a strategy, Florida, Sweden, other places around the world, have done much better in terms of overall health outcomes than places that have had lockdown-focused strategies where the disease is spread anyways, but with catastrophic damage to the poor working class. Forward, my goal is going to be to help people understand that the lockdowns were an enormous catastrophic mistake that should never be repeated. I believe that lockdowns should be seen as a dirty word.
Yeah.
That when we think about lockdowns, we should recoil with horror.
Yeah.
Because the policies we followed have violated not just medical ethics, but also it's crushed the ability for scientists to discuss openly with each other facts and evidence. It's taken a great amount of effort, willingness to face abuse in order for scientists to speak up, and many have been silenced. So I think the restoration of the freedom for scientists to discuss with one another openly what the evidence actually says without this fear of repression that we've seen during the pandemic in order to support the lockdowns needs to end. I think that the proper place of science and society needs to be restored so that scientists can advise but not dictate policy. And I believe that lockdowns themselves, once we have fully evaluated them, will be seen as a enormous mistake.
Yep.
And I hope so that we could, with my work, so that we never repeat it again.
Amazing.
Thank you.
He's going to be running the NIH. Incredible. And he was more prescient, and I don't know exactly when this clip was recorded. Obviously, it's an older clip. Lockdowns were probably still happening, and he's testifying and explaining why he thinks they're a bad decision. He was absolutely right. Absolutely right. They were insane. And we recoiled here on day one, all right, of the lockdowns. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I don't know if we were even on YouTube at watching the watchers yet, but Arizona started locking stuff down. We started looking at the governor's orders on YouTube, saying, what the hell are they doing? This is unconstitutional. This is insane from day one. Can't do this. 14 days. Yeah, 14 months all of a sudden. Turns into 2 years. Then mandates from there. It was medical tyranny that was spread upon us by our own elected officials. Both sides wanted to do it. A few people stood up and dug their heels in and got scorned for it. And now he's running the whole place. Oh my gosh, couldn't be better. So here is what RFK Jr. said. It says, I'm so grateful to President Trump for this spectacular appointment. Dr. Bhattacharya is the ideal leader to restore the NIH as the international template for gold standard science and evidence-based medicine, from RFK Jr. And I think I saw, a more formal statement here where he's just reposting the statement here. So a lot of people coming in to the health arena. We're excited about it. We are not going to forget what they did to us over the COVID situation, and repercussions are coming. Congrats to Jay Bhattacharya and everybody who supported him back during the lockdowns. New boss in town. All right, so good stuff on that. Now let's talk about this. The transition is underway, and here's what NPR is reporting. Says, President Trump now signs a key transition agreement with the Biden White House. And there's been a lot of back and forth over this. Trump not wanting to use the FBI, for example, to do background checks. Because why? The FBI is corrupt. And what are they going to say? Probably, Russian. See? And make up a bunch of garbage that Trump doesn't need. The question has been, are they going to use government money, government resources, sign these documents and comply? So far, Trump has said no. In fact, even during the campaign, he was explaining that he does not want the briefings that were coming to him, because they would just say he'd leak it when they would leak it, and then they'd blame him for it, and then they'd probably indict him again and raid his house and go through Melania's closet again. But now they're making some progress, and we do have the ethics document that the Trump transition people are signing as part of this team. And so here's what NPR tells us. They say, quote, this engagement, they say, after a significant delay, a lot of people have been upset about this, by the way. So Elizabeth Warren fired off a letter just a few days ago to the General Services Administration. And she says, President-elect Trump, at least she got the title right. They can't figure that title out at the DOJ. They keep calling him defendant. It's defendant president-elect. Okay, punks. They say Elizabeth says Trump is undermining his own ability to effectively manage national security's emergencies and health crisis, saying the transition has refused to sign any memoranda of understanding. They say these are normally mundane agreements, and since their creation, no prior president-elect has refused to sign one. Guess what? We're not doing things anymore the way you want us to, Elizabeth. All Americans share an interest. They say Trump and his team's unprecedented refusal, get ready for that word again, to sign agreements with the outgoing administrations threatens the American public. And they've also refused to publish an ethics plan, which they have now, increasing the risk that they're going to be taken advantage of or something. Saying under the Presidential Transition Act, they're required to do these things. Trump's ethics plan should have been published before. And furthermore, in order to establish an orderly transfer of power, Elizabeth Warren is having a meltdown. This risk is not hypothetical. The 9/11 Commission found that the delayed transition of George Bush contributed to the 9/11 attack. I'm sure that's what caused it. Yeah, I'm sure the delay in the transition caused 9/11. Okay, what specific expectations? So she sends a bunch of questions. Signed here by Elizabeth Warren, whose signature looks a little bit more adult than Jack Smith. So that's good. But that's what she sent out. She put a whole press release about it. I can't believe he's not signing these documents. He has now. So they say Susie Wiles, who is Trump's chief of staff, came out and said, this engagement allows our intended cabinet nominees to begin critical preparations, including the deployment of landing teams to every department and agency, and complete the orderly transition of power. Now, the memo of understanding, they say, was supposed to be signed by October 1st, along with an MOU with the General Services Administration for funding, office space, and technology. The transition team said it has ruled out signing the GSA agreement. They're like, we're not signing that. Saying it would use our existing ethics plan for our team, and we're going to post it on our website, so we don't want your garbage plans. The transition already has existing security and information protections built in, which means we will not require additional government and bureaucratic oversight, the Trump transition team said in a statement, noting it would disclose our donors publicly. We're not signing your papers. Elizabeth Warren, through a hissy fit, said the announcement did not address our concerns, including that they use private donors to pay for this. There appear to be ethical gaps, she says. But now the MOU is signed. It authorized members of the Trump transition team. They can have access to White House employees, and they agreed on safeguards. Now, while the White House would have preferred that the Trump transition team sign the GSA, it decided that a disruption to the transfer of power would be more risky. You have to sign our paperwork to start the transition, or we're not going to transition to you. We're not signing it. Are you insurrecting us? You're refusing to transfer power, are you? No. Okay. All right. So then we're not going to sign the document. You're going to still give us the keys, right? Yeah, I guess so. A third agreement with the DOJ is required for FBI background checks and security clearances. Now, that agreement has also not been signed. So the FBI can say that everybody's a Putin stooge, right? They looked into somebody, then go get a FISA, then go spy on Trump again. Those background checks are traditionally required by the Senate during a confirmation process, along with an ethics agreement and responses to a detailed questionnaire. Trump's not signing that one either. Get out of here. We don't want your garbage. Now, here is their ethics plan, which they have released. So this is from Trump. They say, all right, everybody, if you're going to be on this transition team, we expect the best of you because together we're making America great again. And clearly you'll abide by these terms. They say the Trump-Vance transition team agrees it will implement and enforce an ethics plan to guide the conduct of the transition, saying you're going to apply with the laws cited here, and you may not have any financial conflicts of interest with your business partner, spouse, or anybody. You're going to safeguard classified information. You're going to not share non-public information for private gain. You're going to disqualify yourself if you're engaged in lobbying activities over the last 12 months. If you have been a lobbyist, you're not welcome. No registered lobbyist may serve as a member of the transition team. Get out. Anyone who has been registered lobbyist must affirmatively delist themselves under the Lobbying Disclosure Act prior to joining the transition team. And so this is their code of conduct. And so the people who are going to be working on the transition say, I, so-and-so hereby acknowledge that I'm working on this. And so they'll sign this. I think in all my activities, I will abide by this, right? I will disqualify myself. If I have a conflict, I will disqualify myself. If I'm a lobbyist, I will not accept or solicit any money. I will understand that I am not permitted to make any representation on behalf of Trump. I understand that authorization is required from the transition co-presidents. I'll be confidential. I'll not use any non-public during my transition. I will not communicate or get compensation. If Trump wins the election, which he has, and I continue to work with the transition for 6 months, I will not, after 6 months, I will not appear and accept, looks like compensation. Anyways, you're not going to talk about what you worked on for 6 months. I will protect property. I will understand my commitment to abide by these regulations. I will not accept any gifts, and I'll abide by the terms signed here by the Trump people. So this is probably what's in effect right now. I would imagine probably updated since he has won, but that's what NPR is sharing with us. Now, Elizabeth Warren, very unhappy about it. Another one from Hans Monkey says, the Trump and his transition team are not going to use government resources because they want to save money, is what they say. However, it's merely a smokescreen. What's really happening is that Trump has learned, saw what they did to General Flynn during the prior transition, exactly, as well as the fake briefing Trump got from Comey, which was used as a pretext to weaponize the Russian collusion hoax. This time, no involvement from the deep state, no bureaucratic hindrance, and most importantly, no spying. They said the White House MOU facts, they say the Trump transition team will not utilize taxpayer funding for costs related to this, which is consistent with Trump's commitment to save money. The transition will not use government buildings or technology provided by the government. and will operate as a self-sufficient organization. This organizational autonomy means a streamlined process that guarantees the Trump administration is ready on day one. The transition already has existing security and information protections built in, which means we will not require additional government and bureaucratic oversight. The transition has an existing ethics plan for those involved, which will meet the requirements for personnel to seamlessly move into the Trump admin. Pursuant to the Enhancement Act, we'll post that on our website. The landing teams will quickly integrate directly into federal agencies and department with access to documents and policy sharing. And per the agreement, the transition will tell the Biden people who's coming in. The agreement dictates that Trump-Vance transition will utilize private funding again, providing cost savings to the American taxpayers. Donors to the transition will be disclosed to the public. Consistent with transition policy already in place, the transition will not accept foreign donations. And as we saw from their ethics document, there will be no lobbyists allowed. And good news there, the transition is underway. And the Brzezinskis are having a difficult time with this. We saw yesterday that President Trump's transition process is having a lot of success. In fact, CNN was reporting people were giving it high marks, high ratings all over the board because people are happy to see some progress and people acting on behalf of America. It's a new novel concept. We haven't had that in a while. So now this is the Brzezinskis who are having a difficult time reconciling the fact that their relevance is now fading away, being replaced by other people who strive for honesty and truth and authenticity in the journey of covering American politics. Here is what they sounded like.
Last week, you were awarded the 2024 Fourth Estate Award by the National Press Club, along with Axios's The Great Mike Allen. So congratulations.
That's awesome.
The award recognizes journalists who have made significant contributions to the industry, and you have. Specifically, you and Mikey were awarded for your work that has revolutionized how audiences consume news. And we have some of the remarks you made during your acceptance speech. Let's listen.
I hate this damn debate about, oh, we don't need the media. It is not true. Think about what makes this. I love this country. I'm a beneficiary of this country. Like some from Wisconsin who can come and start two companies, be up here, win an award, sit next to Mikey. I'm a beneficiary of it. But there's something about the country. There's something about it, right? There's something about freedom, capitalism, the animal spirits of democracy. But at the core of that is maybe transparency, maybe a free press, maybe the ability to do your job without worrying to go to jail, maybe the ability to sit in a war zone and tell people what's actually happening so they're not just looking at distortion matters.
Yeah, you guys, during the lockdowns and during COVID, there was no free speech that was being championed by the press. They were calling people conspiracy theorists and maniacs taking horse dewormers. There was no open forum where we got to have an exploration of these ideas at all. So for them to then reverse course, all of a sudden now Trump has won, and now suddenly they're the victims of being potentially jailed for their reports or something. They were calling for everybody to be canceled, censored, debanked, thrown off of every single platform, have their kids taken away from them, and so on and so forth. And now they're going to come out and lecture us like they're the open society people.
It matters profoundly. It's why it's not like we just love getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning doing this every single day. Like we do it because we love it.
Yeah,
we do it because it matters. The work that we do matters. Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying, we are the media. You are the media.
We
My
are.
message to Elon Musk is, bullshit. You're not the media.
Wrong, brother. You're coping here a little hard. What are you so upset about? If that were true, you would need to say it. The fact that you have to come out here and defend yourself shows that the tides are turning, brother.
You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon.
No, it takes 4 morons from Politico to write a 4-paragraph article. We read them here all the time. We do read some of the mainstream media articles. We avoid them and usually just go directly to the sources and just look at the documents for ourselves, because we don't need Politico or The Hill to chew up the original sources for us, digest it, and then crap it out into our mouths on the other end and say this is news, which is what these guys do. People who can share their opinions directly without having to go through editorial boards and put together 4 people to write an article which is mostly inaccurate, or as we saw yesterday from Politico, we read an article from some hero journalist who got a letter from Ryan Ruth, didn't even publish the full letter, took excerpts from the letter and then explained he has no idea what they mean in a news article. So that guy has more credibility. Why? Because he's got Politico as a brand over his forehead? No. They know where this is going, which is why he's trying to do this raw speech. This is a halftime speech from a coach when the team, you just got obliterated in the first half, and now you're going to come out and say, we can do this, we can win. You guys are losing badly, and it's because of your increasingly arrogant condescension like this.
Right? What we do, what journalists do,
what
you did in
they
Mississippi.
Copy and paste.
What Al Jazeera does in the Middle East. You don't proclaim yourself to be a reporter. Like, that's nonsense. Like, being a reporter's hard.
Really?
You have to care. What? You have to do the hard work. You have to get up every single day and say, I want to get to the closest approximation of the truth without any fear, without any favoritism.
Oh, my gosh.
You don't do that by popping off on Twitter. You don't do that by having an opinion. You do it by doing the hard work.
All right, enough.
Yeah, come on, slow clap, everyone.
Look at these morons. SEALs.
First of all, I've got to say, extraordinary content.
Incredible.
It needed to be.
It's like they're just like giving each other massages on the show. This is cable news. This is why nobody watches them. I guess except us right now.
Said.
Yeah.
It continues to need to be said when all of the garbage is flying around on social media, lying about reporters, lying about the hard work they do, lying about the hard work editors do, lying about everything.
What do they do? What do they do? What stories are they breaking? All right. They read the same documents that we read here, and they're usually slower and less informative.
Up and down about not only their alternative set of facts, but alternative set of facts about what people like you do. Love how you connected reporters in Mississippi in the 1960s to reporters fighting for their life to get the story out in the Middle East today. Jim, it was very powerful, even if
I know it's so hard for Anderson Cooper to go stand in 3 feet of a puddle and we're in a hurricane, we're going to die, we're hurricanes everywhere. People are like walking their grocery carts like the other side. There's no water here. Like, why are you standing in a puddle, weird freak?